Hi all. So this is a continuation of the last um, lesson that we did on probability. So what I want to do is kind of pick it up with compound events again, but we're going to do a new topic called dependent events. But in the process, I want to review a little bit about independent events and sample space. All right, so let's start right away with a situation here. Suppose you have two dice. One is orange and the other is blue. Okay, so the question is, what is the probability that you will roll two even numbers? Or right down here, I have it written in the correct notation, probability of getting two evens. All right, so I wanted to review sample space. So I found this sample space for a blue and orange die on something called Math Only Math. And some people prefer visuals like this. I kind of like this. So what they've done is they have shown just what shows up on each pair of dice. All right, so what we're looking for is two evens. So that would be, for example, 2, 2 would be two evens, or 4, 4, 2 would be two evens, or 4, 6. All right, so if you're looking at just the diagram here, if you look at each row of evens, so I'm starting with the 2, I've got 2, 2, okay, but then I'd have to skip over to 2, 4, and then over to 2, 6. So I've got 3 on this row. All right, if I come down here to the 4s, I've got 3 on the row of 4s. And if I come down here to the 6s, I've got 3 possibilities on the row of 6s. So I have a total of 9 possible situations where I could get two even numbers. So if I'm just looking at this, I'm going to say I've got 9 possibilities out of 36. If I reduce that to lowest terms, I have 1/4, which is 25%. Okay, but remember in the mathematics, if you have two independent events, which that would be what this is, two independent events, you can find the probability of each of them separately and then multiply them together. All right, so the probability of getting even, let's say the first one is on the blue die, would be half of the time, because you've got 2, 4, 6. So half of them would be even, and then on the second die, half of them would be even. Right, so what we really have when we're figuring this out is how much is half of the half, right? So for example, if we're looking at all of the possible combinations, there are 36. 18 of them have a blue even number. But if we're also going to add the orange in, it's only half of those half. So then it's only half of the 18, which would be 9. So when we're multiplying, we're really finding the fraction of the first fraction. Right? So that's how that works. All right, but this is the computational way to do it. Find each separately and multiply them together. All right, let's look at a different situation here. And I found another sample space on something called Stack Exchange. This is great. It lists the numbers instead of the pictures, which in the situation we're going to work with now, I think works better. Some people have a preference. Some people prefer like visuals. Some people prefer more like diagrams. All right, but let's say we are asked this. What is the probability that you will roll a sum of 5? Now, I'm saying in this case, we're using the sample space for two dice to answer a question that's a single event. In this case, we're looking for a sum. That's really a single event, right? It's not really like you can find the probability of two things separately here, but yet we do still need a sample space to figure this out. All right, so if you look for a sum of 5, I think you can see the pattern here, right? And I do want to point out, by the way, that a black 1 and a red 4 is different than a black 4 and a red 1. Same here. Black 2 and red 3 is different than black 3 and red 2. That's because it's a different die that's actually producing that number. That would be true even if these were the same color. I think actually having different colors makes it clear that there's really two possibilities for a 2 and a 3. You can flip the dice. All right, but anyway, you can see there are 4 possibilities out of 36 for getting a sum of 5. All right, so when we write that out, I reduce this to 1/9. As a decimal, that's 0.1 repeating. So I rounded that to 11.1%. All right, I'd like you to stop the video and try to figure out these three on your own. What's the probability of getting a sum of 1? Probability of getting a sum of 7? And then what's the probability of getting a sum that is less than or equal to 5? All right, pause the video, give that a shot. All right, let's take a look at the answers here. So probability of getting a sum of 1, that's actually impossible. You can't get a sum of 1, right? So in probability, when something absolutely cannot happen, that's a 0 probability. By the way, if I said, what's the probability of getting a sum that is less than 13? That would be all of them. So that would have to happen. So in probability, if something definitely will happen, that's a probability of 1 or 100%. All right, so can't happen is 0%, definitely will happen 100%. All right, probability of getting a sum of 7. All right, so I think you can see here there's a total of 6 possibilities. That reduces to 1/6, and that rounds to 16.7%. By the way, I don't know if you've ever heard of the term lucky 7, but if you look, you can see that a sum of 7 shows up more often than any other sum. So anytime people are betting anything, you're much more likely to get a 7 when you roll 2 dice than any other number. So something to keep in mind. All right, and then the last one, what's the probability of a sum that is less than or equal to 5? All right, so we had right here 4 of them that were equal, but then we're doing equal to or less than or equal to. So we've got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it's 10 out of 36, which reduces to 5/18. This should have a decimal on it right here, 0.2777. That rounds to 27.8%. So I'll have to go back and fix that decimal after I'm finished with this. All right, so now let's move on to dependent events. And I took this definition from the Math Goodies website, which I'm going to cite at the end of this because I used this site for this particular video as well. So the definition of dependent events are 2 events are dependent if the outcome or occurrence of the first affects the outcome or occurrence of the second so that the probability is changed. Right, and then you can see I wrote here the math is the same for dependent events. You just need to pay attention to how the outcome in the first event affects the second event. Right, so let's say we have this situation here. Mr. Richardson needs 2 students to help him with a science demonstration. He chooses names at random from a jar with each student's name on a piece of paper. There are 18 girls and 12 boys in his class. What is the probability that he chooses 2 girls? All right, well, what makes this one dependent is once he chooses a name, he's not going to replace that name because he doesn't want to, basically choose the same student again. So since he's not going to replace that name, it's going to change the total number of students. And if he does pick a girl the first time, it's going to change the number of girls. All right, so let's look at how this is solved. Right here is the notation for dependent events. So listen to the way I say this. If events are dependent, the probability of A and B happening is equal to the probability of A times the probability of B given A has occurred. Okay, so of course, if A hasn't occurred, we're going to stop, right? But given that A has occurred, what does this look like? All right, well, in this situation, in terms of him pulling the first name out, the probability of him pulling a girl's name out would be 18 out of 30, because it's the total number of girls divided by the total number of students. All right, then if he picks out a girl's name, though, things change. So now there's only 17 girls' names left in the jar out of a total of 29 students. So what we do, we still multiply them together. So we're still figuring out, all right, what is 17/29 of 18/30? Right? And basically, I'm just going to multiply the 2 together. I got 306 divided by 870, and I decided not to bother to reduce that. I just used my calculator, and I did 306 divided by 870. That gave me 0.352. That is rounded. So a probability of about 35.2% that he'll choose 2 girls' names. All right, let's take a look at this one. All right, in the independent probability questions, we did some marble jar questions, but those were with replacement, meaning we were going to put the marble back. So in that case, then it didn't matter which marble you chose the first time because you were going to put it back. In this case, we're going to do this without replacement. The without replacement is what makes this dependent. All right, so suppose you have a marble jar that has 5 red, 4 yellow, 6 black, 8 green, and 2 white marbles. What is the probability that you will choose 2 red marbles randomly from the jar without replacement? So the without replacement is very important. So what is the probability? So I want you to pause the video, try this on your own. Probability of A times probability of B given A. So what's the probability of getting red? And then what's the probability of getting red given that you've already chosen one red? All right, give that a shot. And then once you're done, get the video going again. Okay, so what we have here now is we have a total of 25 marbles. So the probability that we'll pull red the first time is 5 out of 25. But now we're down 1 red and we're down 1 marble. So the second one, pulling the second one would be 4 out of 24. So what I did is I reduced both of those fractions to lowest terms because it was pretty easy. So 1/5 times 1/6 gives me 1/30. So 0.0333 repeating, which gives me about a 3.3% chance of doing that. Okay, not very likely. Could happen, but not very likely. Here's another situation that often comes up in probability questions. So what I've done is I've basically found this picture that lays out the entire deck of cards. So you can see you've got 4 cards of each suit. So we've got clubs, spades, hearts, and diamonds. And then you've also got 4 of each of the royal suits right here. Okay, this is what we're going to be paying attention to. All right, so the question is, a card is chosen at random from a standard deck of 52 playing cards. Without replacing it, a second card is chosen. What's the probability that the first card chosen is a queen and the second card chosen is a jack? All right, so the order is important here, and this is dependent because it is going to change the number of cards in the deck. All right, give that a shot yourself. All right, so pause, try it, and then turn the video back on and see how you did. All right, so you can see what I did here. The probability of choosing a queen would be 4 out of 52, right? But since we're then down 1 card, but we still have 4 jacks, the probability of pulling out a jack is 4 out of 51. All right, so I did reduce this first one to 1/13. The second one can't be reduced, so then 1/13 times 4/51 is 4/663. And then when I rounded that to the nearest decimal, it's 0.006, which means it's 0.6%. There's not even a 1% chance that that's going to happen, right? It's very, very unlikely to occur. All right, so I just wanted to give you this works cited page. You can see I used Math Goodies again on this. If you are interested in learning more about probability or just doing some practice problems on your own, this is a really good site to visit. All right, thank you for listening. Nice job, everybody.